Hey everybody, welcome back to Aces 53. Ed, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. So I'm excited
It's a
today, as you guys
Thursday.
know. Yeah, today's a Thursday, so we have a Joker Day. And what is the Joker? A Joker is someone who has a special knowledge or skill that would be beneficial to you guys that are the listeners. And so this guy, he's been on once before, but he's been up to a lot of amazing things since the last time he was on. And since we talked on Tuesday about, well, we did a recap of Ed's event for the Firewalk, operationfirewalk.com. But we talked about the importance of meetings, masterminds, going to events, to be in the room around people. And one of the ways that, well, one of the reasons we want to bring on our guest today is I actually met him in the airport lounge after going to a GrowthCon event in Miami, Florida. But we've kept in touch. And if you add him on social media, what you'll see is he goes to a lot of networking events. He does masterminds. I'll let him share those cool locations he goes to. But with that, we will bring on Joel. Hey,
What's
Joel,
going on, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing remarkable today.
Good.
Good seeing you as always.
Yes, you guys as well. Thanks for having me back on again. It's great to be with you guys again.
Yeah.
And
Your check cashed. It was fun.
it was okay. All right,
Yeah.
you got the Venmo.
Yes.
No, we
Hey,
went
you got
real
Venmo?
old school.
So, Joel, one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on today was one of the things that we've been talking about before is getting in the right room, getting in the right people, the importance of social media, and for obvious reasons, Connect 360, and then the events you attend is why you're on here with us today. And so, most recently, you got back from GrowthCon, right?
Yep.
Which is where you and I met
Yeah.
years and years ago. But we've kept in touch, and like I was saying before we brought you on, what's one of the things I find fascinating is you still go to a lot of events. So even though you have full-time business, staff, you name it, you guys make time to go to different events for the networking aspects, and it's led to some pretty amazing things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's the thing that you can never dismiss. There's like a number of reasons why I'll go to different events, and I'll go to the same events. Again, even though I've gone to them before, it's like like even workshops or conferences and stuff like that. Some of them, of course, those conferences change every year, but like workshops is we're all on a journey and a path where we change.
Mm-hmm.
In our development, our course, and you may hear information that's the same, but you're not. So now it's going to hit you different.
Right.
And at the same time, you now intersect intersect with people on different stages of their journey. That's where you and I met years ago, Brian. At in the Centurion Lounge in Miami.
Yep.
And so, but those opportunities to go to conferences, events like that, you meet people, and so I'm a big believer that you have to go into those things with an extreme amount of curiosity, with a super abundant positive attitude, right? And also, you're gonna meet some people. My opinion is always in each conference, I look for the layers of people. I look for the layers of fakers, and so I can push them away. And I wrongly disposition people sometimes, but at the same time, it's like you just lovingly like, yeah, no, it's okay, that's cool, hey, love you. But in the same time, I'll usually go for what's the biggest ticket I can get for that event? What's the VIP seat, the diamond seat, whatever it is that gets me into the rooms where I can go meet new people. And it's not that you don't go into the other rooms, but I want to be able to have access to all the rooms. And so I'm willing to go spend the money because of the connections it actually links me to. And man, I'm always astonished at just the journey and the places and the people that we're talking to. Like right now, working on a really remarkable project that's got some really high profile people involved, like really high profile people. And I only got to that stage, and it didn't happen overnight, but I only got to that stage of getting connected with those people. Before we started, I was sitting there on the phone with somebody, and it was a multi-billionaire that we're working on a project for, but I only got connected there because of actually somebody that I was in the room with at the same GrowthCon that you and I met.
Oh, wow.
So those types of things, like conferences, a lot of people are really hesitant to go invest that money or invest that time because it's both. But again, if you go in with curiosity and you're there with authenticity, the doors will open. You'll meet people. and encounter things that you never thought you would. And you just got to be open to it. I mean, that's taken me to Dubai, to sailing around the islands with an NBA coach and, a leading biohacker, and stuff like that. It's just that simple mindset of get in the room.
Sure.
Anybody else going to talk? I'm just kidding. No, but you're right, because you need to go to those conferences to get and you figure out, what am I here for? I'm here to meet other people besides listening what's on the stages. And if you go to those that way, then you're going to meet a lot of people, and it will change, because those are the people doing the same thing as you. And getting the higher ticket items is always the best thing, because then you can go into that room where all those people are and you learn a lot more.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the cool part, like at GrowthCon that I just came back from, I got a chance to meet, Tim Grover, Tim Story, also Arnold Schwarzenegger was through there.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, and it's like there's some cool people that you get to meet just because you do get access, you go into those types of rooms. So, you always want to learn from the stories of those types of people.
Now, for people who are listening, though, you don't have to start off with the highest ticket item. You can go and test something and go, hey, I'm going to get the general entry one. But if it's something you like and you believe in, then it's worth it to ante up the extra dough. At the same event,
Brian just shows up and he's like, hey, yeah, I'm coming in.
No, I always buy a ticket. I buy maybe the cheapest ticket, but I always try to buy
not always.
And then come in.
He hangs outside until he sees somebody. Hey, are you coming in here? Oh, no, I don't have a ticket. Oh, come on. We got extra.
Yeah. With a sign. I just have a little cardboard sign out front.
Yeah.
We'll speak for tickets. Yes. No. Well, at the same GrowthCon we met at the year before, I had just general admission. And this year I'm like, no, I want to be down on the floor where the seats were, that, closer to the stage. And I'm so thankful that year we did, because the acoustics were really bad if you were up in the higher seats that year. So, but we didn't know it, because where we were, everything was great. So I do think some things, depending on what you're going for, it depends on where I sit. So there's some events that I'm just wanting to go see who's on stage. I'm not really going to network, then I buy a nosebleed. But if I'm going with the intention of the networking that I want to accomplish, it's worth it to spend the extra money to be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's the investment, right? But I think the one critical point is you can't just go into it and say, well, I'm going to go spend the money, like they said, on the biggest ticket or whatever the case may be. It's really has to be connected to your attitude. Attitude's everything. So if you go in with that authentic attitude and genuine purposes to learn, and not too proud to learn something from somebody else, and you'll make connections that are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
What did you learn at the last GrowthCon there, Brian?
I'm learning that I still am thinking
Joel.
Brian. Joel.
No, I meant Brian. Didn't you just go to one too?
No, I watched it. Watched it from home, and there were some good speakers. So that's a good point.
All right, then forget about Brian. Joel, go ahead.
That's a good point. So what they did that was different with GrowthCon is this year, if you couldn't go, and I had a conflict because I had a speaking gig here, is I watched it over Zoom at home. So they don't give you the recording. So that way you were forced to pay attention while you're there. I still got good content, but none of the networking. So even if you're starved for information, you can still be a part of events, but you're missing out on the best part, which is the people around you. Go ahead, Joel.
No, yeah. I learned that I walked away from that realizing I'm still thinking too small. So, and also, sometimes, and that's I think one of the other important things of going to events like this is, you need reminded, you need events like, good events, whether it's business events where you're learning something.
Mm-hmm.
You need to realize, like, are you still on path to the journey that you've been intending to go on? I learned, hey, I'm thinking too small. It also was a good reminder of how quickly magical things can come together when you put yourself in rooms and take the initiative to just say, let's do this, and you don't wait. So, thinking too small and adding too much time to the equation.
Well, one of the things that you guys do that's unique is your wife also goes to a lot of these events. Mm-hmm. And sometimes she goes to something, you stay behind. Sometimes you go, she stays behind. And then sometimes you go together. And that's also a unique thing, because you have to have a partner who, if you're trying to build a business or to do anything else, they don't have to like what you like, but they need to support you, and you need to support them in what they like doing. And that's something you can always see who's at an event that's constantly have to like go out, check their phones. Okay, they're calling me, versus people who are there with the full support of their loved ones at the exact same time. It just, you can see the mental burden isn't carried around versus when it's the other way around.
Right. No, that's very true. I mean, and I'm blessed to have a partner that, you know, that works with me in the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's not always easy. That's a whole nother story. But it definitely makes it easier. Like when you're going to conferences, if you got a good team and you're a business owner and you're pulling people to conferences, and you have a good sized team, taking those people with you, because maybe that conference has something to do with the journey you're taking the organization and that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
That helps them to understand that you really care about them as well.
Go ahead, Ed. You look like you had a question.
No, I didn't have another question. I was just agreeing with him. Yes. Yeah. I
who
don't
was your-
have that luxury. My wife, I wouldn't want my wife to work in my business. Not that I don't like my wife. I just think not being in the same thing is good. And plus she's a nurse, so that'd be even worse.
Yeah.
Because they're a little controlling.
So I did watch from afar. Give me your top 2 favorite speakers.
I think, I liked Mike Tyson,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
for sure. Arnold, because he just really touched on how you can have disagreements, but it doesn't mean you have to behave a really bad way.
Yeah.
And then when you do have people that disagree with you, how you respond is really powerful. He gave the illustration, I think it was, where someone threw an egg at him,
mm-hmm.
and his comment back was, "You owe me bacon."
Yeah.
So it's just, how do you respond to challenges? Because we're all going to have them. That was pretty powerful. I like that. And really the stress of the integrity and the honesty. There a lot of the speakers that were at GrowthCon spoke heavily on that area of ethics and integrity and just being a good person. And we all view ourselves as good people, but I think it's a good matter of opportunity for reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Just because by nature we want to take care of our family when we want to take care of ourselves, and sometimes that's selfish. That's not wrong to feel that way, but at the same time, that can skew our view of what's honest.
Yeah,
inadvertently.
How often do you go to masterminds? One a month, one every quarter?
Probably. I try to go to something every couple months. So, for example, we came back from Growth Conference, and actually at the end of this month, I'm going to a mastermind meetup in Palm Springs, and which actually bleeds right into another mastermind that same week. So I'm hitting 2. And then, I'll do conferences and exhibits. Like we're going to be exhibiting in Vegas and at the end of July into August for Connect 360. But then it's like I'll go to. I have another conference for sure scheduled at the end of September, and then another one in end of October. So,
for those who didn't see you the first time around, and 360 is more of your focus point now, why don't you tell everybody what that is?
So I appreciate that. So Connect 360 is our marketing technology platform. So our company's First Direct. That's the actual main company. But we're First Direct is a marketing advertising technology company. We have a full in-house agency. So we got full-time designers, video editors, graphic editors. We have web developers. We have media buyers. We have all of that. That's all full-time, and it's all in-house, either here in our U.S. office or overseas. And so Connect 360 fits into our marketing technology side, because oftentimes for businesses, large or small, the big problem that we see is that they don't have the basics figured out. They don't have CRMs figured out, automations figured out, low-hanging fruits. They're missing all of them, and those are some of the biggest deals. And so the marketing technology platform fixes that. And then we're able to help them focus on the right execution strategy for paid media. So, because if you don't have the foundations in place, all that paid media, you're not going to believe it's going to work. You're not going to be able to measure it. and those types of things. So Connect 360 is a big push. There's a global push that we're actually rolling out with that. We've got our app on the App Store, both the Google and Apple, and there's some exciting stuff that we're working on there. A lot of integrations and development that our team's doing, and some exciting things. I'm really, really excited about what we got coming.
Very cool.
What to talk about now? No, so this last year I actually cut back on going because I'm the president of my Rotary and I'm here each week for my Rotary.
Right.
And it was the point where I went to so many things so much. It was like, okay, what am I integrating that I've learned from all these conferences and everything I went to? And that's one of the things I think a lot of us come back from, and we just have so much that we don't, and most people don't do anything. And I go, I got to find the one thing, and that's what I'm going to, put in place when I get back. But I don't know, before this last year that I started, that was as of, July of last year. I haven't been to any masterminds, but prior to that, I mean, I was gone every month somewhere, flying here, flying there. And
I've done that. I did that all through COVID. Like, I think COVID, I traveled the most. I put on more miles around the world than ever before. Went to more events. I was literally like in Miami or Scottsdale or somewhere, or up in Washington, going to some sort of a conference or mastermind. I spent probably close to almost $500,000 on things like that. And I've slowed down a little bit more, so I'm a little bit more intentional. And there's I do a lot of volunteer work in ministry for my congregation and those types of things. So those things take my time. So I got to find the balance of I can't sacrifice some of those things. So I look for the things now that's very intentional. I can work it into the schedule, and I make sense of that's the beat I gotta, that's the drum I gotta beat. That's my role now in the organization, is I got to get out there. And so now, as we built our team and our team's grown, like, their role is to do what I used to do back at the office. Now my role is to get out there.
So for people who don't know you, and this is kind of a fun question I already know the answer to, what's the farthest you've traveled for an event?
Dubai.
Yeah. Which the whole thing that made that interesting to watch was, it's not just like you go somewhere. It's also, you have to learn the customs and the clothing that's proper. And so it was more than just going to fly out there and go on vacation, lay out at a nice hotel. It was a lot of things associated with it at the same time.
Oh no, 100%. I've gone to Dubai a couple times, and we're actually going back again end of September this year, because we're managing all the marketing and automations for that organization, and so we're asked to be there and be present to support it. So it's like, of course, sure, why not? But it's like, you do need to learn the customs. You need to, especially when you go to foreign lands. I mean, show respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If somebody came to your neck of the woods, you'd want them to show respect. If they came to the United States, you'd want them to show respect towards customs here, or, normal things there. Like, we're all human beings. So, we owe the same thing to somebody else. And Dubai's a beautiful country. UAE is a beautiful country, beautiful culture, just very hospitable, very loving. What's not to like there?
Right.
Except it's hot.
Yeah, it's real hot.
Well,
hot's an understatement.
Yeah, that's just a little bit.
Yeah. So Ed, you brought up a good point. Since you're going to be wrapping up as president this year with Rotary, is there
only 2.5 months left?
I know. Is there an event or a mastermind you're looking forward to going to in the near future?
No, I haven't really looked at it. I'm still focused because we put on our own event on this last weekend, Friday and Saturday, which was Operation Firewalk for veterans and first responders to get them out of their thing. So we had, it was in the evening, and we did a 2-day event, and I'm still trying to figure out everything that we've learned and didn't learn from that event,
Yeah. So I've got one. I'll probably be going to New York City in September if a few other ones in September don't pan out, like the one I'm talking with Joel on. But I forgot where I was going to go with that. I got distracted now.
I don't know if I want to go back to New York City. Not that I have anything wrong with it. It just, it's just a long trip. I'd much rather go somewhere. That's my biggest complaint. I'm in California. If the ones in Florida, that's a day.
Yep. New York, same, because it's what, 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours.
Well, the New York one, I can get a sleeping pod on the way there.
Oh.
Florida, you don't get one. I don't understand it. It's further.
Because it's old snowbirds going there, so they just fall asleep everywhere.
No, but it's like, if you're going to go even further, why not have a nice little sleeping pod to take a nap in,
100%.
I guess I'll have to get on the dog one.
When you do those long hauls, it's like you've just got to, get the right seat too. I'm a tall guy, so I guess for me, it's like I would not want to have the economy seat going across the Pacific or the Atlantic or something like that.
No, definitely not. No. I don't know how why. Well, I know why, but a middle seat on an international flight, I couldn't do it. There's no way. I have no tensile neck strength. Like I always get a window and I just either side. Now I prefer to sleep this way versus this way, but I cannot imagine doing a middle seat on an international flight over 8+ hours.
Well,
maybe the armrest and
unless it was like a premium seat.
Well, yes, then it's different. But if it's just talking economy, middle row, where if I could go to the bathroom, I have to climb over 3 people either way. No, I'm not doing that. Nope.
Yeah. No, the last time I was worried about that too. Like the last time, last October, I went to the Philippines to go visit my team there, and like the flight, it was Korean Airlines, and like the flight, I was on premium and stuff like that from Delta all the way to Incheon, South Korea. But I was like worried. I'm like, I'm going to get stuck because I didn't realize my ticket. I didn't pay attention. I just booked it. And I didn't realize my ticket switched to economy with them. And I'm like, oh, crap. And I was trying to figure out whatever I could do to get it bumped up or something like that. And but I mean, long story short, I ended up with a full row of 4 to myself. Right in front of the exit was nice. So it at least allowed me that room to stretch out and all that. But you gotta, when you do travel, you got to make sense of that. Because I think that also frames your mind when you go to events.
How tall are you, Ed?
6'2".
Is that it? I thought you were taller than me. Okay.
I am taller than you. You're just short. You just say you're 6'2".
Hurtful. So hurtful.
You're like 6'1 3/4. I'm just kidding. Who gives a shit? No, but so what I'm thinking is from now on, whenever I'm going to go to an event, I got to find other events either on the way there or on the way back to make it worth it because of it,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because I did one event I was in Houston, Florida, flew to San Diego, and then flew up to San Francisco.
Well, you should just do one where you just go Florida and then maybe something in New Orleans and then maybe something in Dallas and just, hit a little city each way.
Yeah, but it's got to be an event I want to see. Got to go to.
True. All right. So you mentioned something earlier I want to go back to, and that is you'll sometimes go back to the same event just because you're maybe at that next level of your business. And so what's been the biggest thing you've changed? So you mentioned earlier, it's First Direct is a marketing company. What have you seen that people are doing right or wrong in terms of marketing right now?
Well, number one, like the biggest thing I always see is they're not marketing. So they're just not marketing. Or they've convinced themselves that marketing doesn't work, or they're also listening to so much information that they're in that lost mode. So that's, it all falls into they're not marketing. Audience, they got to give attention to audience and remove their own bias. So that's one thing I would say is probably the biggest problem I encounter all the time is bias. And what I mean by that is you'll have somebody say, well, my customers aren't there. Like they're not on TikTok, or I don't like TikTok, so I don't want to market there. Okay, well, let's remove what you don't like. Are we running a business or what here? So if we're running a business and the whole intent of marketing is to get more business, you may not like TikTok or you may not like X or whatever the case may be. However, is your audience there? Is your customer there? That's all we care about. We're just trying to pull them in. So, and then the second problem that I see is the they've not properly identified the buying stages for their avatar. So those buying stages for their avatar, we all go through the same types of stages when we want to buy or when we end up buying something. So at some point we became problem aware. After that, we started searching for information. Then we started doing comparison. Then we started to make a final decision and we bought. And then there was the follow-up. And a lot of people only want to advertise to people at that final stage where it's the most expensive. It's the most painful to get them in. They've probably already made their decision. So now you're trying to get them to change their decision. And that's a whole lot more expensive than if you start to advertise to help people become problem aware. Because if you can get them to become problem aware, then you can actually satisfy the information stage that comes quickly thereafter.
Right.
And if you can capture them right there and start to exchange information for information, right, then you've lowered your cost of acquisition tremendously. The other thing I see that a lot of times is they don't track in order to analyze, so they don't trust the data. I've had clients literally tell me, I said, hey, this customer that just spent $15,000 with you, well, we've touched them with direct mail this month and this month. And we've been hitting them with Facebook all of these months. And they're like, well, I don't think the direct mail works. I'm like, well, let's look at the ticket average. People spending, on average that got hit by multiple channels, they spent more than double. I would say that's a clear indicator it's working. Yeah. Data is data. You can't, the data doesn't lie.
There was another person, was a different mastermind. She did a short thing on marketing. And again, another reason to go to different masterminds is talk to different people and understand. And she said something similar, that the most confusing thing that people get is they have their ads manager account in, Meta, and they're tracking that data. But what they don't realize is, if you have all these other social media platforms, it may not have been on Instagram, may not have been on Facebook that they saw you, or, maybe they saw you on TikTok and it was TikTok that pushed them over the edge to say, now I'm ready to buy. Or you were talking about direct mail. People want to track the data, but it's also confusing because if you're doing it right, you should be doing it on more than one platform.
Well, 100%. There's not, and a lot of people will do that. They'll be like, well, but the lead came in on Facebook and not TikTok. I'm like, yes. However, we're still getting impressions over here, and our targeting method is just to your audience.
Yeah.
And so it's undeniable. If we're spending any money, it means we're hitting your audience. Because a lot of times we'll use geoframe technology to govern who sees the ads for a client, whether it's on a mobile device or desktop or their TV, their smart TV. We'll use that same technology to bridge the audiences across. And so what's beautiful about that approach is just simply that, hey, if our campaign starts spending any money, I'm hitting your people and your people are there. So it only spends money if they're there. So if TikTok doesn't spend any money, well, I guess they're not there.
Yeah.
So
have they asked their client where they saw them and all the different places they saw them?
You can ask them that. Keep in mind that when you start getting asked that by an RSA, like a retail sales associate, right? As a consumer, you start to feel threatened. You're now being questioned.
Not when you're already purchased.
True. You got to get to a certain point.
Yeah.
However, all of us like the lowest friction possible. And so the most common response, for example, on a retail brick and mortar location, the consumer will always typically say, I was just driving by. Well, you didn't, if you're spending $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 like on a mattress or flooring or something like that, you didn't wake up this morning and say, well, I think I'm just going to go drive around and see what I want to buy. It doesn't work that way. You arrive at a destination with an intent, and you've thought about it, and that journey's been a long journey. So sometimes people want to answer that, Ed. It's like people will go to the lowest friction answer just so that line of questioning can end.
Right. But they also never even asked the first part. What brought
true.
you in here in the first place?
Yeah. What brought you in today?
Yeah.
What made you? And I love
How did you hear about us?
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Or I always love asking the question, even like because we're all over the phone for the most part. Hey, what brought you to make the phone call today?
Mhm.
You know, and really, I'm not after like how they find me as much as what moved them to take action today.
Makes sense. I forgot what I was going to ask. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, you put me on the spot when I didn't
I
have.
know. Well, I was trying to throw
I'm
the shade
sorry
away from
because
me.
you didn't think of it, and you lost that train of thought. I would start taking some, supplements or so.
No, I remember what it is now. What I was going to say is I know right now when people go and get the cheat sheet, I don't ask how did they find me? And so that may be something I add to my form later on when they're putting in their email address, maybe a radio button like, how did you find me? That'd be interesting to see. Or are you saying that don't put that because it may chase people away?
You're not a retail sales person.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, it's one of those things you obviously can find out a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have the right, going back to like, why we focus heavily on our Connect 360 platform is because that marketing technology, once set up right, well, now I know Ed's journey more accurately from where he came from.
Yeah.
Right. Even if it was a phone call off our website, because we can use technologies, such as like dynamic call tracking,
mm-hmm.
which literally will rotate your company's phone number out by the different visitor to the site. So all three of us could go hit a website and we would all three get a different phone number that looks like it's the main number.
Mm-hmm.
We'd all call it. They would all go to the same place. But because Ed searched, you don't
want to know what Ed searches for.
Pink mattress protectors, and you searched, purple pillows, and I searched, I don't know, pillow top mattresses or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like whatever those phrases are, now we can actually track that. We can say, oh, this came from organic, or this came from Facebook, or this, it's so there's so much there for businesses to kind of figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And this even goes back to like, conferences and audiences and, as a business owner, when you even go to conferences, it's like, you should always keep in mind that although in some conferences, they really, obviously it makes sense. They would frown on like direct, promoting. Right. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't stop you from, for example, you're grabbing my, business card, doesn't stop you from having a business card that is nothing but a funnel.
Right.
Just don't make it look that way.
So that's a good question. So I saw on the backside of your card, I was getting ready to ask this, so perfect timing. You have a QR code there.
Yep.
So are you finding that with going to these events, what means are people wanting the information? So it used to be people went with a whole box full of business cards. Now a lot more people are using tap cards, popple bracelets. What are you seeing that you personally are getting the best results from when you go to a networking event?
I have the tap cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I go. I think I have. No, it's not there. It's over there. So I even got a lanyard version.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wear that. I'll bring my tap card. I'll have this in my pocket, so it's real quick. I can tap you out.
Yeah,
that type of stuff. I'm a big believer in physical business cards.
Okay.
Simply because, we could all be at a conference and I meet Ed for the first time, and I transparently, like a lot of times I'm going to wear sport coat, jacket, whatever. And I have that little inner pocket there. Mm-hmm. I have my cards put in the pocket the right way so that when I pull it out, I go, here you go, Ed, there's I'm pulling it out. There you go. I'm Joel. Good to meet you.
Yeah.
It's all everything's a funnel. So if I can get the first thing, if I don't have to make him flip the card or anything, because the first thing he cares about is looking at my name.
Yeah.
That's it. He doesn't care about any other crap on the card, but my name first.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's clean, concise, and then also too, if you give thought to the paper and any other texture to the card, yes. all of those things create the sensory input that you're trying to make a connection at a conference. So that's my logic that I go with. If I meet Ed in a large event like growth conference, I might meet Ed one time and I'm like, yeah, Ed, hey, here's my card. He's like, I already got one. I'm like, take another one.
Mm-hmm.
because transparently, here's what's going to happen, Ed. You're gonna go back when you finally get home and you sort through all the crap in your backpack, and you wonder why you have 2 or 3 of my cards. You're gonna be like, I need to call this guy. So I'm after that impression. That's my approach, and it's worked really well.
It's funny you mentioned the feel of the card. So this was by accident. I went and got them made through Moo, and I have no idea what I accidentally clicked on, but it feels like they printed like on this side and then they printed on this side. But when they put them together, it's like they took 2 separate pieces of paper. So it's a very thick card.
Yep.
And people always mention it. Like, oh wow, that's a unique feel. Total accident. But that's all I keep reordering. They're a little more expensive, but people pay attention.
Yeah, I had some cards I did before. I haven't really redone them yet, but they're like this nice transparent. They're about $1 a card.
Yeah.
And these are actually hand rolled, each one, and nice little foil and stuff like that. I'm sure they can make them better nowadays, but I got those years ago. But then also too, like on the First Direct side, like the paper smooth and the little dots, if you can see those little dots, those are actually raised texture on there. So people feel it. It's what happens is when you're just having that conversation, people feel it, or like your card's really thick. They're like, oh, this is a good card. And they start to think in their head, like, this guy actually means business.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you show up with something that you went to Kinko's that didn't even get through the paper cutter right,
Oh yeah.
and the toner was halfway out when you printed them,
Right. You printed them yourself and just took the little perforated edges off of.
Yeah, and it says Hotmail.
That's what you just beat me to what I was gonna say is
it's Big Bubba 22, Big Bubba 22 at Hotmail or something like that. Sorry, Big Bubba, you're gonna get emails now.
Yeah.
But you have something like that, like you're just breaking down whatever kind of confidence you're trying to build.
That's
like I run into real estate agents all the time, and their emails are your preferred real estate agent. I'm like, at gmail.com. Oh, that's a great email. Yeah.
Just do it your name.
I know. Yeah. Do it in your name.
It's a sorting method for sure. If I get an email in, they're like, hey, we're a professional videographer. We can help you cut your videos. First thing I look at is, what does it end in? Gmail, Hotmail. Especially if it's AOL, I don't even think you know how to keep up with modern technology. So.
All right, come on. There's none of those sending out AOL. You just made that up.
Oh, no. I've seen one. I'll have to, next time I see one, I'll do a screenshot.
So I'm looking at some business cards that I got from a recent little, like a networking event that I went. This one's a car audio place. They got their domain for their website, but the email is a Gmail.
Yeah. And
then this guy's a marketing specialist right here. I'll be nice and not show them. This guy's a marketing specialist. It's really, I'm going to cover his name, but it's just really generic design. If you're a marketing specialist, come on, dude, shine.
Yeah. We got a stock photo.
Right. But it's a live.com email.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't care about branding.
Well, see, I don't even use business cards anymore. Just because we don't use them anymore. My book is my business card.
Yeah. Well, that's
there you go. See, that's a bigger business card.
Yeah.
So Ed keeps books in. You know how you keep your business card in your suit? Ed keeps his books in his suit. A little bit harder to pull out, but
nice try.
Exactly.
No, I got somebody's book today. They told me the book they wrote and everything. I got it. It was like that thin. And it was like a horrible cover. I'm like, if you're gonna write a book, spend the time on, spend the money to do it right.
Yeah. I thought you said you were sending me a book, not a pamphlet.
Or run play with that a little bit and say, what's behind the horrible cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
A guide to life.
Yeah.
A cheap guide to life.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we get it. Did we hit everything reason to go to mastermind already? And how to make sure that you did the good business card?
Well, the only thing I think is missing is I'd be curious to know, Joel, with you going to so many different things, how do you follow up with people after you go to these events?
Automations. So yeah. So no, it's I always go for, can I get your business card? Can I get your information? But I mean, I like right away, we have our Connect 360 platform. So I'm going to punch somebody's information in, and we actually literally set up a simple automation ahead of time that shoots them a quick email, a little delay, shoots them a text message, gives me 5 minutes to walk away. Right. So the minute I add the tag to the record, 5 minutes later, these things are firing off because I want that to, to buzz there. And then, my approach is always keep a as organic looking or feeling follow-up as possible.
Yeah.
So it's their perception is the number I just texted them from was my cell phone.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. Or if they ask me if it's tracking, I'm like, yeah, 100% it's a tracking, but it's an easy way to get a hold of me.
Mhm.
But no, you gotta keep the follow-up. You gotta keep it in front of them. I think that's the critical thing. Create some sort of a mechanism to ideally automate that, especially as you start adding to that. It's like I got thousands and thousands of people I've met from various workshops and conferences and masterminds. And, sometimes a little text is, saying, hey, how are you doing? Wanted to check in with you.
Oh, no, Joey, how are you doing?
There you go. Something authentic.
I got you. The Friends reference.
Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I do with that, because I use the same stuff, and I just tell them because of the way our mortgage industry is, we have to track the way that you come into us and how we make sure that we don't go, we have to be tracked. I said it better than I'm saying it right now, but we want to make sure that when you come into our system, that the loan officer or whoever's handling this is doing it properly and making sure that we're just so regulated that we have to do that. And most people never have an issue with that type of email or what we're using for our phone number from the website and the different places. That's not our actual phone number.
Right.
The only thing that I would wish that they could figure out how to do is not make it green when it comes from the other phone number sometimes. And that's just because I'm an Apple snob. So I like the blue text, mainly because I can get those on my computer too. But otherwise,
well, yeah, that
Apple.
kind of tells you like if they're using an Apple device or something like that,
right.
So, but yeah, and I hear they're changing technology, so maybe you're going to see more, possible blue bubbles versus green bubbles. So,
True.
then it'll become harder and harder, to actually separate that.
Hey, if it does, all the better. All right. Well, Joel, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure being here.
Yeah, appreciate you being here.
Ed, as always, and congratulations on your event last weekend for the fire walk. I know we talked about that on Tuesday, so
I should have took this week off. I'm still tired.
I was gonna say you look tired.
I am tired.
Yeah. So anyway, Joel, thanks for joining us. Ed, as
Thank
always,
you very much, guys.
Being here. Everybody, the best way to support us is subscribe, forward it on to friends. Especially Joel shared a lot of information today. Send it off to somebody else that needs to hear it. We're here on Tuesdays with just Ed and I, two grumpy old men. And then on Thursdays, when we bring on the jokers, the guest speakers like Joel. So follow us here we'll see you on next Tuesday. It's just Ed and I. Have a great week, everybody.